Loungin, son.
All right, welcome back to Loungin, the show where we talk about comic book related topics. Today we're talking about a run that we really like. I'm your host Mario, and you got Ryan over here.
What up, guys? What up?
So I think we're trying out to new topics where we want to talk about some of the series that are currently coming out that we really enjoy. And I imagine this is probably going after the Venom one. If it's not, then you can also look forward to a Venom one coming out soon.
Yeah, it depends on what.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes out. But today we're talking about Daredevil. Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil.
Amazing.
Which has been really good. I mean, the Daredevil is interesting because it's a book that's been consistently well written for like the last 30 years.
Longer than that, or
Ish.
I would even argue going back to Miller. I think Innocenti had a really good Daredevil
so like 40
run,
years. So like the last 40 years. It's and I think people kind of know, but I do feel like it kind of goes under the radar that it's been consistently that good.
Even though it fucking got nominated for fucking 4 Eisners, but who's counting?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you think about the last 20 years. You got Bendis, you got Brubaker, Diggle, not so much. But then
we don't talk about Diggle's run.
Yeah, that one kind of moved away. But then we got Mark Waid with Somni, Paul Rivera first, and then Somni, which obviously that was.
And then Charles Soule did that Back in Black.
Which I think that one got a little bit more mixed. I think Mark Waid's got way more positive, so that one was good, but it didn't get as much attention. And then Chip came with his new run, and I think Chip in general has been really interesting to see him kind of grow.
Yeah, watching his career
and try out different things. I think a lot of people had written him off as this kind of jokester guy that did this kind of stuff, and then in the last 2 years, he's been doing a variety of comic books, a variety of books that were kind of different. And he's shown a lot of range and a lot of talent that I don't think we knew he had.
Right. Well, I think he's also a good example of, like an artist that can transfer into being a writer.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often. I think we saw it with Scotty Young. You know what I mean? Like, he was an awesome artist, and he's a great fucking writer.
Yeah.
And like Zdarsky is the same way.
Yeah.
He did write a Spider-Man series before, which is what you might think. Like he's got like this like personality where he's very fucking funny. You know what I mean? Like he'll even like
He's very quirky and very
weird.
funny.
Like he was on a Joe Quesada interview, right? And he's like this. And he's like laying there with no shirt on.
Well, I remember when
he's doing the interview. You know what I mean? He's like, but he's just so nonchalant about what he's saying.
Remember when he did that con thing? He went to San Diego Comic Con, I think, or it was in one of the big cons, and he created a booth outside of the con, out in the street.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And then he called it like the Chip Con or something like that. So he had been known for doing these really weird, quirky things.
He's funny and he's awesome, dude. And I think that like he did his Spider-Man run. A lot of people like that. I think he's the one that wrote the issue where Jonah found out that Peter was Spider-Man. He wrote that issue, right? And I think it was Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I don't remember. It might be like a different Sensational Spider-Man. I can't remember.
Yeah,
there's so many different.
Tom Taylor, so I think it was Chip. But anyway,
spectacular. Then I don't know. He wrote his own Spider-Man series that he started at #1.
Yeah.
And I think one of the Kuberts did the art on that book. But either way, you expect like with his sort of like sensibilities, like a humor, like Spider-Man would be the character he would write.
Yeah.
So when they announced he was on Daredevil, I don't want to say that I thought he would do a bad job. You know what I mean? Because that's not what I thought. I'm like, this is
to be that good.
I didn't expect it to be that good. I'm like, okay, they obviously put him on here for a reason, but what is he gonna fucking do with this character? Issue 1, I was like, dude, this is fucking one of the best Daredevil comics I've read in a long time. Going back, and I'm not talking shit about Soule, but like, I didn't like a Daredevil comic as much since Waid had left the book.
Yeah,
and then I read that issue.
Souls, that's not bad. Like, I don't want to talk shit about Souls run, but it's definitely not as.
It's different.
It wasn't as good that got me excited. And
right.
Mark Waid stuff got me excited.
Oh yeah, for sure. And dude, like from the beginning, like he's taking Daredevil out of the fucking costume again, but like it's for a different reason.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting take. Like he fucking kills someone because his powers are fucking.
Yeah. He's dealing off the aftermath of what Charles Soule ended with, which is where Matt almost died. I think we thought he died, but then he didn't die.
Right. I mean, we all knew he was going to. We all knew he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because of that, he ended up being injured, and his senses were off.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of broken, and he was dealing with that. And I do like in the art,
Marco Cicchetto.
Marco Cicchetto.
Oh my God,
It has had a variety of artists, but he's been kind of like the main artist for the book.
I would call him.
Obviously, he takes a break every once in a while.
I mean, you have to look at that art.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Cicchetto's amazing. He's a fantastic artist. I do think some of the filler artists have also been really good.
Oh yeah.
But his art's great. And so that first arc is, he tries to stop just regular crime. He fucks up.
Mm-hmm.
He throws his billy club and it hits someone and kills him.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
And yeah, it's just Daredevil Murdoch 101. And that's kind of what the series is kind of like. I can make an argument with it being kind of familiar, because it is. It's a lot of the tropes that we've seen, but because it's been a long time since we've kind of been there, it's kind of nice to go back to the familiar. Like, no, this is the Matt Murdock. What is it? It's guilt.
Yeah,
like,
Catholic guilt. He's got the Catholic guilt, dude. Yeah.
He's dealing with being a hero. He's dealing with this dual personality of how I always thought it was really fucking fascinating that he's a lawyer by day, and his night job contradicts his day job.
Yeah.
Inherently, like fundamentally, it breaks down what
he's breaking the law as he's fighting for the laws.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's weird.
I've always thought that was really interesting situation, and I always thought Matt Murdock is a very interesting character because of all the things that's happened to him. And this is all that. All of that's coming back, and I love how he ends up killing that guy, and he's dealing with the guilt. And then the next things that happen, or I never expected happening, which is he meets up with a bunch of heroes: Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Danny Rand. And I was so surprised by that issue where they're like, "Oh yeah, everybody's done that. Like, what's the big deal? What are you talking about? Like, good job, champ. Like, you just keep your chin up. You're good."
Yeah,
but he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah, but it was the other hero that came in and fucking dropped the bomb. Spider-Man. And then that issue
right after that,
phenomenal.
Spider-Man shows up, and we've seen the relationship between Matt Murdock and Peter Parker over the years, and I always really like when they show up because they have a really interesting friendship.
Yes.
That I always really enjoy.
The dynamic is great.
Yeah, and like Guardian Devil, like he's the one that kind of helps him realize that like what you're doing is worth it because you saved the child. Like, what more is there that you can do?
Right.
So I was expecting kind of a pep talk because that's typically what they do to each other.
Right.
And that's not what happened at all. He tells him just you quit. You need to quit.
Yeah,
because you fucked up and you're gonna keep doing this. Like he kind of says like you and I we're not like them. We hold ourselves to another level. A level where we don't fuck up. Because I fucked up, and this is what happened. I'm never going to do that again. You did it. You're never going to get over this, so stop.
Yeah, I know. Fuck, dude. Zdarsky is such a great fucking writer, dude. Like you just said that. Like, you weren't expecting it to go that way, and neither was I. Because like, just like you, like, Daredevil's always been, like, I was telling Dylan, like, Daredevil and Spider-Man are my two favorite Marvel characters. If I had to pick two, and that's all I could read, like, those would be the two. I can leave the X-Men. I can leave, like, and don't get me wrong, I love these other characters, Captain America, Thor, all those, but I always loved Daredevil.
Yeah.
And
Daredevil's awesome. And
so, like, when Spider-Man said that, I was just like,
no,
I was
it was
blown
a
away.
punch in the gut. I think for people like us that have been reading Daredevil for so long, you also think, because to me it's all just one long story, and I think back to all the times that he shared with Peter, and like, that's like one of your best, like from the superheroes, that's one of your best friends telling you to quit because you fucked up. And so you just imagine Matt I must have just hurt him so fucking hard on the inside. And then after that, it was a long section of him kind of exploring who he is as just Matt Murdock without the Daredevil side anymore.
And right now he's a DA though. He doesn't have his own law firm.
Yeah.
As of right now, that comes back from Sewell's run.
Yeah.
But another thing that I really loved in this run is like, okay, so when Charles Sewell was writing the book, Kingpin was mayor, Matt Murdock was is deputy mayor, and then he became mayor for a second, and then Kingpin was back. I love Zdarsky's take on Kingpin, dude, because Kingpin is usually this overpowering fucking. He's not even like human. He's a force of nature. He literally is. He's a force of nature, dude.
Like a Spider-Verse where his head's like this big and then his body is like that.
I mean, they took that from Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah.
That was totally a Bill Sienkiewicz drawing on the fucking screen.
Yeah.
And so, like, now that he's mayor, he kind of can't do the things he used to do because eyes are on him now more than ever. Yeah. But he still has his ties to the underworld. He doesn't want to, like, completely give that up. But in that arc, dude, He's made to be, like, now he's sitting at the table, like, you know, like, figuratively, with the wealth.
Yeah.
And, dude, they fucking make him his bitch. Dude, and I was like, dude, when I read that arc, like, that's when I was telling, like, Nick at the shop, like, I was like, dude, you have to catch up on Daredevil because I want
that scene where he finds that guy dead in his bathtub.
Oh, my God. It's just... when he fucking... Are you talking about when he kills the dude?
No, he finds the guy dead in the bathtub, right? And then he's, like, freaking out, and then he has to have his helper, like, get rid of the body, but, like, hide it through in the back, go to the side.
No, he kills the dude.
He killed... I don't
Yeah. So, okay, so, like I'm saying, he's with the wealth, right? And then they invite him to dinner, and he's like, oh, they're finally accepting me. No, dude, they fucking just tear him down and basically say, you will never be one of us, and, like, so he goes into the bathroom, dude, and he's fucking losing it, and someone comes in, and he fucking just... brutally fucking murders this guy, and then, like, yes, like you said, he's like fucking shocked, and he's like, what the fuck do I do? Yeah. And, like, so, like, that whole aspect of Kingpin and, like, this new, like, adding these new layers like that, I never would have, like, thought Kingpin could find himself in this type of a situation. So to see him in that, I'm just like, where he was legitimately, dude, he was fucking scared. Like, he used to kill people all the time. He didn't give a fuck.
The only time I can think of what's happened is, like, with Bendis. Because he got stabbed and killed. It was like the Caesar moment. I don't know if you remember that. One of the other family's son is in town, and then he finds out that they know who the Daredevil's Matt Murdock.
Is that when he goes to prison?
This is before.
Or before he goes to prison?
No, this is like what kicks all of stuff off is this is a relative.
That's an underboss, right?
Yeah. Okay, he finds out that he knows about Matt Murdock, and he's like, looks around like, wait, all of you fucking people know that he's Matt Murdock, and we're just fucking sitting here, and we're not doing it because this fat fuck doesn't want us to do anything about it? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? And so he comes up with a coup, and they kill him.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or they stab the shit out of him, and he almost dies. But then he's on the defensive now, where he is not the main guy anymore. Mm-hmm. All the other families, and then his son does it too.
Yeah.
That's the part where it really stings. I think his son is the first one that stabs him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was 2003.
2003. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that was 17 years ago.
Dude, I know this. I'm telling you, this is like the most excited. Like, Daredevil goes to the top of my list, or my top of my pile now. The weeks that it comes out, it's either the first or second book, depending on, like, if there's something crazy coming out that, like, I really just got to make sure I read before I go to work.
Yeah.
But, dude, and then you got like Detective North, who's a new character. I fucking love his character. Like, he made it his mission to, like, take Matt Murdock down.
It's been interesting. He gets introduced immediately in the book.
Yes.
He's coming from Chicago, I believe, where if you think something happened, they allude in the beginning, something happened over there, but he's here to hunt down Daredevil and hunt down superheroes because he doesn't believe in that shit.
Yeah.
And you kind of slowly see his mind get changed as you start seeing the corruption, the situation with Wilson Fisk, with him being mayor, and how all that's impacted what he can and can't do as a police officer.
Right.
And all this shit that's happening, and he starts realizing, like, Daredevil does help. Mm-hmm. These people do help. They work outside of the law for a fucking reason.
Yeah.
Because why do you deal with corrupt cops when, you know?
Yeah. I know, it's great, dude.
It leads to him kind of changing his mind and becoming a different person.
And then and then we can't forget too, like, you have all the people that are dressing up like Daredevil because he's gone, dude.
Yeah.
So you have these, like, copycats that are going out there trying to fucking, you know, fight
fill in the gap that he's been created by not being around.
And then, like, the mafia, and, like, you have the warring of the families, and now womanizing Matt Murdock is now sleeping with a fucking...
He fucks up. Yeah, he sleeps with some married woman. And
who's the son of a crime boss. I mean, dude, it's like, it's just so crazy. And she's a librarian, and, like, he goes in, like, he, like, is intoxicated by, like, her scent and stuff, and he just can't get her out of his mind, and, like, she even, like, denies him, but she invites him to dinner, and then he realizes who he's sitting at the table with, and, like, dude, there's just so many different like, subplots.
But it is a lot of the greatest hits to Daredevil. Like, womanizing Matt.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying
that he gets into beef with Foggy over that shit, and Foggy's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man, could you just fucking stop banging everything that moves? And, of course, every one that you always do is always like, you're blind, but you keep hooking up with the most attractive women on the planet.
Speaking of the attractive women, he hooks up with Electric.
And then that was the one part that, like, it was good, but it did kind of like, this is like the 850th time that Elektra shows up.
What are you talking about? She hasn't been in the book for so long, dude. Like, that was one of the things I liked.
I guess for me, because I reread the Bendis and stuff.
Oh,
like,
see,
I read that stuff literally every year. Sometimes like twice a year.
Okay, so for you, it's like you're like,
all
oh, I
that
just
stuff
saw
is
her.
always fresh in my mind.
Right. For me, it's not. I haven't seen Elektra in a while, and I love like Jorge Forney, that issue that they did, like when they rob and they fucking the wealthy people that are fucking over Fisk, like they stole all that money.
Yeah, and then she donates it to but it is like the cliche thing. If you've seen the history of him and her relationship, it is just the same thing. Of she comes in, he's feeling this and that. Like she kind of manipulates him by being really friendly and being supportive, and kind of goads him into being Daredevil again.
Mm-hmm.
And she's all like proud and like kind of fucking turns her on because he's like fucking badass again.
Yeah, I know.
And then he's like, oh, maybe he should turn over a new leaf. She's trying to just give money to the people, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, she completely screwed me over. Took a bunch of money to make her own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're saying that these are these same tropes, but I would argue that, like, first of all, we have, like you said, we haven't seen them in a while, so it's kind of cool to see them again. But that's those are some of the things that we love about the character, which I think will show new readers that haven't read Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what excited us when we got into Daredevil, this is going to excite new people and bring new readers on board. I don't think that it has translated, at least in our shop, because I think our shop was mostly, I would say mostly DC. It's kind of even, but like, I don't think enough people, we said this at the beginning of the episode, like, not enough people are reading this book. This got nominated for Best Writer, Best Continuing Series, Best Letterer, Best, I think, Cover Artist, or whatever, dude, but like, obviously it's getting nominated for these awards because it is good.
I feel like it's always been the case with Daredevil.
When's the last time we saw Daredevil nominated for an Eisner?
White Insomnia, which was like 5-6 years ago now.
And then who else got nominated for an Eisner? Daredevil. Brubaker. Who else got nominated for an Eisner? Fucking Bennett. I mean, hello, dude. Daredevil is a great fucking book. Wake the fuck up and read it.
There is like a good amount of people that are aware of this, but there are a bunch of people that just, I don't know why they just don't check it out.
It's weird to me. It's weird.
It's like Gotham Central, where I always tell you that.
I know.
I meet people constantly, and no one fucking reads. Like, people refuse to read that book, and I just don't understand.
I'll tell you something.
Because it's so good.
Dylan hasn't read Gotham Central.
Yeah.
I was like, the Marauders did it, we're doing it too. I don't give a shit. We're going to talk about that book, because you have to read it.
Dude, we'll probably talk about it here. I will fucking... I'm not a big DC guy, everybody knows that, but that's one book that I will go to the fucking mountaintops and shout, and just like, for the love of God, read this book. This is one of the best books.
It is. It's top 5 DC books.
And most people, even people that are hardcore DC fans that I meet, they haven't read it. And Daredevil, the same thing with hardcore Marvel fans. Like, oh yeah, I heard it's pretty good. Oh yeah, I read a couple of Wade issues. Like,
how did you stop at a couple? Like that's weird to me.
It's so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's like a whole other issue. We could literally spend a whole chunk of time like talking about the people that don't read it, and you know what I mean. Like but bottom line is, I think it's. Like we said, it's hands down one of the. It is, I think. I mean, not that I read a lot of Marvel, but I think it's safe to say that it's my favorite Marvel book right now. I don't think I can point to another book that I like quite as much as that book. The X-Men line is good, but I think like, especially for like a solo character.
One of the benefits of Daredevil, period, is that he rarely gets included into events,
except War of the Realms.
That's it. Rarely gets included into events, but for the most part, if you look at the last 40 years,
because he's very street level,
he really rarely gets included. He's like, on one hand, I want more people to read it, but I kind of don't, because one of the reasons why that happens is because he's just good enough and it gets enough readership that they continually have a Daredevil boy, but not so much that they need to include him in all the things. It's like right in that perfect level.
Or make like absolute Daredevil.
They don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I know. No, you're right. I mean, and that's a double-edged sword. Is like we want more people to read it, but it's like, well, then if more people are reading it, does what happened with like what's happening with Thor right now? Like, oh god, dude, it's like, it's getting
it would get. I mean, because Diggle stuff that got included into an event, Shadowland.
Well, that was a Daredevil event.
Yeah, but it turned into an event, and then. That's kind of where it went really bad.
It did have some tie-ins.
No, it had Ghost Rider tie-ins. It had a bunch of weird shit. Like Moon Knight and stuff were in there too, and Doctor Strange shows up. Because they were trying to attack it with like the supernatural side of things.
It was such a good idea too.
I thought the beginning of Diggle's run was still really good.
Yes.
Because he was running the hand.
Shadowland
he was slowly turning into an evil guy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a great concept. It just, when it turned into an event, that's when they kind of shit the bed, and that's when it really left a sour taste in people's mouth. To the point where Mark Waid's Daredevil came out, no one read it. I know some of those first issues are really fucking hard to find and are really expensive because the print runs are really low because no one was checking it out because they're
So I have
everybody
a hot
wrote
book.
it
You're
off.
saying I have a hot book?
Yeah, it's the first appearance of Mark Waid, Daredevil, whatever. I don't know, some bullshit like that. Spot.
First Mark Waid on the cover of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Good to know.
But yeah, it's a book that rarely deals with that stuff, and like this isn't any different. It doesn't tie into any events. It doesn't really have continuity to worries about as far as what's happening outside the Marvel universe. It's just a Matt Murdock stories.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the benefits of why it's genuinely good.
Yeah.
Because it gets left alone to just do its own thing. Like all of Bendis' run didn't tie into anything.
And
all of Brubaker's run didn't tie into anything.
And nobody's talking about this annual that came out.
Yeah.
Like, so they just, like, completely, like...
It was so...
It was, like, at first, like, I read it and I'm like, what the fuck?
It is very strange.
I was very disappointed. Just at first, okay? And then I sat there and I thought about it, and I don't want to spoil it for... Because I don't... Like, this is still kind of
literally
fresh.
just came out.
It just came out 3 days ago.
Yeah.
4 days ago.
Dumb.
And I was really excited because it's called One More Day.
Yeah.
Which...
It's obviously a reference
a reference to like what happened with Spider-Man, where something changed in his history, something dramatic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is? First, I'm like, is Zdarsky trolling me right now? Because it seems like something he would do. It seems like he would try to make a big deal out of something, and then it's like, oh, Daredevil goes to the zoo on a date. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like,
yeah.
So I was like, what the fuck had
Or
happened?
he babysits someone's kids or some shit like that.
Yeah. And
which would be funny. Like I'd probably
actually
laugh and be like,
I probably would too. But
fucking got me,
so
dude.
like I was like, what the fuck is going on, dude? And nobody's even talking about this on the internet because nobody fucking reads this book. But like, dude, this could have some like serious like ramifications for him as a character.
It's jarring and it's weird and it just seems to come out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, it didn't.
And but so basically, it's gonna take a little while where you're like, what the fuck? What did I miss something? When did this happen?
That's what I said. I constantly was reading.
But then eventually, you kind of just have to accept it and go with it, and then you think about, what does this mean? And I love to be like where you get to see the memories and what happened and like the version that got created now.
Yeah.
And you're like, this could be actually really interesting. This is an interesting development in Daredevil's like existence.
Mm-hmm.
But you just kind of have to go with it because it does come completely out of left field. You are probably gonna scratch your head and be like, did I fucking miss like 3? Did I fucking have a brain aneurysm and I missed like 4 issues?
That's what I said because I was like, Nick, I was like, did you read? I was like. And I told him, I'm like, what the fuck? Did I miss something? Like, I told him what happened, and I was like, did this happen somewhere? He's like, I don't know, I'm not reading it. And I was like, he's like, call Mario. And I was like, well, he hasn't fucking read it either yet, because it's still in the shop.
Yeah, because it just literally came out.
I was like, I need to know now. Like, this is bothering me. So, yeah, I'm glad to know. I mean, I ended up realizing, like you said, like, we didn't miss something. This is just in the book. It's just crazy, dude. Zdarsky is phenomenal. I don't think there's really much else I can say. This is one of the Marvel's best books. Yeah. It got nominated for the 4 Eisners for a reason, and like we said earlier, Daredevil has been I will say it's the most consistently good series that Marvel has published in the last 4 years. Like, overall.
I think in general it's one of the most consistently well-written superheroes, period.
I would say that as well.
And that's not a knock against DC. I just mean, like, that's how good Daredevil's like situation has been.
No, I don't even think that's a knock against anybody. I just think that that's a testament that the people that are coming out of this book love the character, and they do a great fucking job, and it's like they put top tier talent on that book.
And people that crank it up to 11 and I think they just put all of their fucking effort into it.
Yeah.
And it ends up with these runs that are just legendary.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely fucking check out.
It hasn't been that many issues, so catching up wouldn't be that hard, and thankfully it hasn't been hyped. It's not a fucking key collector bullshit book.
Yeah.
So you can pick it up. It'd probably be hard to find all the issues sitting around, but you could get a couple of the first trades and then probably catch up with some of the singles too. So it shouldn't be that hard. So if you are interested, definitely check it out. We highly recommend this book.
Yeah, I can't say enough good about it.
Even if you're like, oh, I only really DC, I still think you should check it out. It's just a really good Marvel book.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
highly recommended.
And so make sure like we said at the top of the episode, with Loungin, we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna focus more on like the comic aspects of like series that we love, that we want to share, new, old, current stuff that's coming out, and creators as well. So if you haven't already, make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Comic Lounge. Drop your comments, suggestions down below of stuff you want us to talk about, series, creators, anything like that. Or you can email us, thecomicloungepod@gmail.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you're notified every time a new video gets posted. Hit the bell icon as well. You can listen to the audio podcast on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. And on that note, we're out.